I was also going to mention, I think I read somewhere that the early 63 Avantis, when you purchased your Avanti, the grills weren't ready yet to put on the vehicles. They were still back ordered. And then once the grills come in, you're supposed to go back to the dealer and they'd install them. Well, a lot of people didn't. I think we've gone through that. Mine didn't. There's our cat coming through. Black cat. Bad luck on this one. Excuse my cold. I got a little bit of a cold. We got to get through this. All right, so there's the grill. Done with that. We're all over the place on this video because I'm waiting for the transmission, another set of transmission mounts to do some comparisons. And I'm waiting for my freeze plug. We got to get back on that. So then I put the radiator back in. I was going to go on about that a little bit. Where's my pointer? Where's my ice pick? This car never saw New York salt, but these front the radiator supports are subject to decay, and they aren't very thick, but so they drilled and tapped them, which isn't a big issue if they strip. There's 3 bolts on the bottom. On the back side, you can get in there, and you can, if you've got a little finesse, you can get a flat washer, lock washer, and a nut on it to really secure them. And same above. As I was stating earlier, I put my bolt through from the back side, and then tighten them down, and of course the whole bolt started to turn. So I did use my real little mini vice grips here. Grabbed hold of the very end of the bolt and held it while I took a 1/2-inch wrench and tightened them down good. So okay, so the radiator's secure. The radiator's in bad shape. A lot of radiators you can tell when they're getting in poor condition when all these fins collapse as you run your finger across them. That generally means it's on its way out. So I had the radiator rebuilt. Big bucks. Went to a local place in Rochester, New York. What? $900. I think I should have been a lot better than that. Should have looked around. Here's one of my issues I was having. See, it's never been in the winter. I already lost my pointer. Jeez. First 2 owners had pretty good storage. Third one, the guy didn't drive in the winter, but he had it in a lean-to, so it did get damp. But as I say, the front of the vehicle is subject to even wetness and dampness. Here's the issue I have, if you can see it. Here's the bottom of the core radiator, but it was rotten from here to here. So I called Myers Studebaker, because he actually does have some junk Studebakers. And I asked him, we've got any crappy radiators where this area is, I need another bottom port for the radiator. Well, they didn't have anything, so I have a 56 T-Bird. I was going through everything I could find with the radiators, discarded radiators around here. And actually I had a 56 T-Bird radiator, and I cut this piece off of the radiator, which is in bad shape, and MIG welded it on. So this part is Studebaker coming across, and then it turns into 56 T-Bird. I guess I should refer to this as the lower radiator band or strap that's soldered to the radiator core. This section I say is very special to me because it's a 56 T-Bird, and it's now incorporated into my 63 Avanti. So I have to share with you the story of this bit of 56 T-Bird. For 50 years, this 56 T-Bird sat behind a house in Bristol, New York, not far from here. And I was wondering what the story was behind it. Everybody would stop and try to buy it. The owner was Clarence Granada. It just deteriorated after many years. And then after the Clarence, the patriarch, that's how you say it, was deceased, and all the family is deceased. I purchased it from someone that bought the property. And yeah, I think I still paid $400 or $500 for it. It was totally tree growing up through it and all rotted. But the story behind it was that his daughter used to drive this car. She had 2 daughters, and she died at a young age of in her 30s. Years later, I found out that her one daughter, when she reached like the age of 30, 30s. She also died, and she had another daughter that was only like, I guess, 12 or 14 years old. And while she was in school in Holcomb, New York, she died mysteriously. The best of my knowledge, this is the story. They were just plagued with this curse, I guess, or a bad gene. So the grandpa, or the father, parked it out back and just let it rot away. I thought it was a pretty sad story, but I purchased what was left of it and tried to salvage what I could. Some more of it is over here. So I salvaged what pieces I could off the car. Even the engine was in transmission. The engine, I took the heads off, and the cylinders just rusted. Nothing couldn't be salvaged. This is my storage, my storage gasser, I'll call it. So there's some more of and her name is Jeannie. The sad story of Jeannie. There's a little bit more of this steering column. What else? Oh, they're pretty cool, these T-birds. That little used to be chrome. The fan. What else was in there? It's a little bit back in there. There's air cleaner wave in there if you can identify it. That was chrome, and there's a headlight ring. Yeah. So I saved what I could off it. The front was just so rotted away. And I'd say when I went with my tractor to drag it out of where it was, we got a little bumper thing there. We got, here's the grill. It's still pretty good condition. I'm going to hang it up in my shop eventually. What else was in there? Okay, I guess that's it for just what you can see. And so that's just all. So I was really excited that I was able to use a little bit of Genie in my Studebaker Avanti restoration. And here's the dash out here. This is on my bumper car. Yeah, there's a dash off of Jeannie's car, called Jeannie's car, what's left of her. Now, what's interesting about this is, please comment on some of these things. This Clarence Granada, is that how you pronounce it? There it is right here. I actually had to polish this a little bit. It was on the dash. It's like a plaque. And I guess T-birds, you could, well, you pay a few extra bucks, they'll put this on your glove compartment. Is that correct? I guess. I'm not sure. But it seems though I recall, I thought Avanti also offered that same option. You could have a name plate or something put on the dash. So I guess there's just a little similarity there. I had to show you this. Eventually I'm going to hang this up in the barn. Genie. And hanging in the shop, there's Genie's, there's your window washer. And there's the original, it's all pitted bad, but a license plate ring, and also the plate to the back. Excuse me. And I did salvage the tag off the firewall. Even had it registered. Even once I had it registered in my name when saving this. And up here I wrote, owner was Clarence Granada, and daughter Jeannie. Her husband, now who was a widower, of course. It was sad. He did live, had a long longevity, as far as I think he lived till he was 80. It was sad he outlived his wife and 2 young daughters. And Grandpa, Clarence, he also lived into his 80s. So you know what I'm going to do? I got this all done up here nice. I'm going to make, because she now is a part of the Avanti, Jeannie is going to live on for you and your daughters. I'm going to put you right in here. Jeannie's going to ride with us now. There she is. She's going to stay in the Avantis. All right, well, that's a little story about Jeannie. Now we're going to get back to our, the mail lady just showed up. And there are, I bought 2 extra freeze plugs, soft plugs. Depending on what terminology you like. So let's get back on board with that. I didn't want to get into, I'm waiting for a couple of the, another set of transmission bell housing mounts, which this time I got from Myers. They're coming, and then I'm going to compare them to the one I'm pretty sure is off. The reason I have to buy a couple more is because, yes, I shortened them because I didn't like all that They're too long. But then only to find out later that, in my defense here again, that there's a spacer. As I say, Studebaker International is good, but I don't, unless I'm overlooking something. I didn't notice that this spacer, maybe underneath where it describes the transmission mount, maybe they should have said, if they can't offer it, they should say something to the, if I'm not everybody's that knowledgeable on these Avantis. I didn't know there was such a thing. Who would ever think of that? And I still wonder why that the reasoning was that the car was out of work, something. They have to use that. And in my defense, I was going to say, yes, I did order the wrong motor mounts, and they came, and Goober and Gomer, when they had the engine training out, see, one of them was broke, and one was good yet, and it looked pretty good shape. Well, it looks like they replaced them with the wrong one. So when I got they're on the car yet, so I didn't know any differently that they were these are the right ones, the thick ones. So of course I just thought they were correct, until I looked into it more carefully. But there again, in my defense, I'll say in this book, the parts catalog, it does point out the spacer right there. So at least it mentions, well, I didn't look at that. But in this catalog, workshop manual I had, to my knowledge, there was no mention at all about a spacer. There does a description of this mount right there. No time does it mention it. It would have to be right here if it should say a spacer goes on the left side. There's no mention of it. So that's another reason why I screwed up. Okay, that said, okay, I wanted to go ahead and start doing some of my motor mounts, but I'm going to show you. They're going to have to order 2 more new because now this is my original one here. But see what I mean? Now there won't be enough threads left to accommodate that spacer. So yes, I had to buy another pair anyhow. But we're still going to solve that mystery. I think that new mount is, the bolt is off a little bit. And I didn't want to do the mounts yet because I bought an extra in case I screw one up. I'm afraid there's only one position that I can get underneath that vehicle and have a hope of putting this into the block. And I've done these before, and they better be square as you're driving them in. It's very critical. After I flushed it out, I took an air hose and blew out the inside walls. And there's another little chunk that came out. I'm going to see here. See how round it is? It's from the casting. It's just a chunk of the casting inside the block. It didn't break. It was just like a piece that was in there. So in order to put in another freeze plug, soft plug, I think I already showed you the old one and explained all that. I found just the right socket. Not bad. Fits pretty good. And I got to drive that in. So I'm going to take it down below underneath and show you what's this entails. And of course, let's try to figure out what would be the reasoning for that soft plug going bad, because they were replaced. If you see my ice pick, you see that nice, see the edge there? See it? That's like the block. It's casted inside. So when they, after they have the foundry, after they create the block, I guess they got to bore these holes out, so they're, nice and true. But I think the sludge kind of collected in there, and that's what made her rust out in that one area. So here's what I'm up against. I don't dare do anything as far as altering any of the mounts at this time, because I got about one position here. See this here? This is my clean shot at driving that plug in. See what I'm up against? At the very, where are we here? So there you go. So at the very, I might have to take this, I should have the light on. There. Might have to pop this tie rod on and swing this over so I can drive that plug up in there better. Now I guess you can see what I'm talking about. Oh, jeez. Wish me luck on this one. See, it does line up pretty good up there. Boy, you got to drive that in square. You can't go crooked. But I got an extra one. Hopefully I don't mess anything up. I want to do it just once. And before I do that, I'm going to go up there with this guy. I'm going to clean it up real good. Probably put a little bit of gasket sealer on the freeze plug before I try driving it in. I might take the starter off for the third time just so I can clean things up there. Maybe inspect the next saw plug back while I'm at it. Make sure that's good. So here we go. And here's my surgical tool. I was able to reach in and grab that foreign object. Please tell me, what is this? And how do you think I got in between the cylinder walls? Well, I got the freeze plug, soft plug is in. I don't think people realize how serious this was. Getting the plug in is even more critical than getting an old one out. I'm gonna take you down here and show you a little bit, but here's what I end up doing. I end up taking out the starter again, just to give me a little more room around there to clean up. The bolts, then I end up take the cotter key and nut off the tie rod end. Of course, I didn't want to disturb all that, chipping up paint and trying to pop that tie rod end out. I didn't want to tear up the rubber, but it came out pretty good. Also tells me, they aren't very rusted. Actually I'll clean up real good this time. Might put in a different key, I'm not sure. And I'm going to show a little bit how the pickle fork. I bought an extra one of these plugs in case I had to maybe replace another one, or if I damaged them. Yes, it was scary. There was only about one position I could go at to get this, to attempt to get this in. If I couldn't get this in, it means unhooking the transmission, and got to deal with it'd be unbearable. And raise the engine up out so I can get good access. So yeah, it was awful. Didn't sleep slept well. So get the right size socket, and even then, when I say straight on, take a little finesse, put it on. I'd feel around the edge, make sure it's going in straight. So then I did at one point, turned it around and tried to hit on one side, and I didn't like that. So I was able to get a little smarter, and there was just enough room so I could tilt it a little bit. Work on one side, then the other side. And it's just scary as hell. I even played the tape back because I think it's in there and pretty good. But the way the casting was on the block, I checked the other plugs out. Yes, it's good to go around the edge. If it's flush, you're pretty good. I'd like to go down a little bit more on the one side. You'll see in a little bit. So we're going to take it down in there and show you what happened there. We got a new stud coming for the exhaust manifold. For pickle forks, I've been really not sure just which. I think it goes this way. I've done it so much for the years, but have the, would you say, the flatter side? The flatter side of the pickle fork, like this, to the bottom of the tie rod. Oh, jeez, you know what I mean. Over here. Oh, jeez. Okay, so the bevel part should be towards the tie rod's ball, if that sounds correct. Always give me a call, 585-367-3439, if you have a little verbally want to tell me a comment, because I'm not going to find the stuff on the computer. I'll share with the viewers on what I'm during this process. Well, there she is, way up in there. I put some goo, clean it up good, gooed around it. I gotta go back and show you. I like my Permatex, the thinner style, because it's sticky. It takes a little longer really to set up, but it's good in this application. And the other type is good for gaskets too. Well, there you go. I would like to draw that in a little bit more on the one side. And where's my freaking ice pick? Let's use the mirror thing. You see, but if it's all the way around, it's pretty flush. One part of the, I noticed the other ones were all absolutely perfect all the way around when they machine these. So I'm not going to mess with it. Jeez, it takes some finesse. Back here, and always start out with at a little hammer, or next poundage up from that, and then when you think you're getting pretty confident, just tap it easy because they didn't have much room here to ting, ting, ting. But luckily, I was able to move that half-inch extension with the socket and the one side or the other to get it straight onto that. Oh my God, it's unbelievable. I'm going to take a nap right here. I haven't slept worried about this. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. Touch up my block with some gold paint. Though I'm not going to mix up some clear for that, but still look pretty good. Put my tie rod on, hook that back up, put the starter back on for the third time. Only thing that just stressed me a little bit about this soft plug fiasco is I did notice this is the soft plugs I were looking. It says Dorman, China. Not that some China products aren't good. It's just it should never be dependent on another country for a product. But one of the soft plugs that was behind the starter on the block says Pioneer P130, 1.5 inches. That's for. I'm going to check with our different suppliers and wonder if some of these other Studebaker guys what brand is this? And this China one does seem pretty thick and well made. But I wonder about their steel sometimes. Is it as good? All right, just wanted to get a little more detail on that. Oh, I dozed off there a little bit. I had a dream. My mother said I better keep Grandma's Bible out here on display out here in the shop. I'm waiting for the arrival of my exhaust manifold stud and my transmission to bell to cross member motor mounts. So I'm going to move ahead and do my bumper. I'll wait for those. Looks pretty nice. Had them re-chromed to place Niagara Falls, Niagara welding. Nice work there. Remember I showed you this piece of my own. My original wasn't in the best of condition, so I think this was $80. I bought another one. Looks pretty good. I always recommend you have something chrome to always paint the backside silver. And sometimes they'll start rusting. So I got that looking pretty good. All my original hardware is good. I am going to improve upon it and see my hand here. I am putting stainless steel lock washers where they didn't have them before. And what bolts were a little rusty, I did acid dip them and clean them and painted them. Here's the corners. Isn't that nice? Man, ain't that nice? There you go. Same thing, painted the back sides silver, just like I did the rear bumper. I think the front bumper is going to be pretty much uneventful, unlike the rear bumper. Oh my God, that was quite a struggle. There I got it. I put get a nice little order a variety of washers through the suppliers. You know, Myers or International Studebaker. It turned out that I have a thicker one on the outside and I have a thinner one on the inside. And then the inside feels just about right. The brackets and everything line up pretty good. I kind of wanted to put the bumper on towards the end of the restoration. That's about all I can really do at this time. And every time I come out here, I'm always ramming my leg into this bar here on the corner. So if I put my bumper on, I'm going to cover up good and install it first, of course. Man, what do you think of that, huh? Oh, jeez, getting all. Here's my formula for putting the front bumper on. Wasn't too bad. First, put this front piece on. I don't want scratches. Put the front piece on first. Leave the bolts pretty loose. Then next, I found it was best to then work with the right or the left. You know, put the right or the left on first, loosely. Just put a few threads on that one. Don't bother with this one just yet, the bolt from the inside. So the main tough one to get is to get this bolt inside here, which you cannot see it, but you'll know. Try to get that one started. Then go over and put this one on. Put this on loosely. Get that one started. And there it takes a little finesse again with these, because they're all kind of custom built as they went along. Those are the two tough ones on each side. And then go to the sides. and get those started. I forgot what I used a thicker shim rubber on the outside on each side, and I end up using a thinner shim rubber on the inside. Seemed to fit just right, nicely. Going under here, everything's still loose. And there again, it's just at first, make sure that these bolts are loose. Got it? Okay. There's no adjustment over here, as I recall. It's been a while. So you might as well tighten those right down. I guess you could keep a little bit loose, but yeah, or snug them up. Then once everything's kind of loosely put together, then I really tighten these right down. Because I recall, I don't think that this front one moved back and forth. Whatever. I tightened those first. Then I tightened that next. Then I tightened this last. And then once the front's all tightened up pretty good, it pretty much came out pretty good. Then I go inside and tighten that one up nice. And it's a little creepy because I'm so afraid to put too much pressure on this fiberglass, I crack something. But they seemed okay. And they say I put a thinner rubber was about the right thickness. And these adjusted out nicely. As I recall, these are slotted at an angle, as I recall. Then when I felt that all the rest of it was pretty tight, then I tightened these right up good. It looks pretty nice under here. As I say, I'm just going to do one good restoration and then start driving it. But it looks pretty nice under there. Maybe I should have waxed underneath my fender wells just once. Okay. Looking pretty good.